first things first, let us give both Jack Della Maddalena and Belal Muhammad their respective flowers. First, we have to say, how about Australian MMA? Second show in the span of a month that a fighter hailing from Australia becomes a UFC champion. Last month in Miami, it was Alex Volkanovski defying the odds and once again becoming a champion at 145 pounds, regaining that title that he, helped put on the map. And then it was Saturday, again, first fighter hailing from Perth to become champion. It's JDM, who had not fought, it's worth repeating, who had not fought since March of 2024, his fight against Gilbert Burns. Went through a litany of serious injuries, especially on his forearm, multiple surgeries, all that stuff and more. Was supposed to fight Leon Edwards in March, comes in there and does the job in such impressive fashion. And in doing so, by the way, became the youngest welterweight champion since GSP won the title back in Montreal many, many, many moons ago. Sub 30. I believe he's 28, 27. At worst, 29. But there he is with the title. A man of few words, doesn't like the pomp and circumstance, doesn't like the hype, doesn't like the buzz, doesn't, just does the job. Someone that I think a lot of people from Australia would be very proud of. And like I said, it was a great fight. It was a tremendous affair, but I have been somewhat blown away by the analysis in the aftermath. And I think the analysis in the aftermath of this fight has been pretty damn disrespectful towards JDM and pretty damn disrespectful towards Belal Muhammad. Because the main narrative that you are hearing after this fight is, why didn't Belal shoot? Why didn't Belal try to take him down? Why didn't Belal stick to his bread and butter? Why did Belal try to prove a point by standing with JDM? Why did he divert and change, the style that got him there? And I'm seeing this from smart people, from fighters, from smart pundits, and I'm like, did you guys watch the fight? Did you watch the fight or did you just read about it? Did you watch the fight or did you just follow it, follow along on social media? And I will never claim to be a coach, a fighter. I'm not sitting there at a screen doing telestrator stuff. I'm not doing the circles and all that. I've never been that guy. I will never be that guy. But I've watched a lot of fights and I know what's in front of me. Belal Muhammad didn't change his style. Belal Muhammad didn't try to divert from what got him there. Belal Muhammad just fought a guy who is incredibly big, incredibly strong, incredibly long, and has some pretty damn good takedown defense. This guy, Belal Muhammad, shot 9 times. So I keep hearing people saying, why didn't he shoot? He shot 9 times. He landed 3 of those. And if you actually look at the stats actually bring up some pretty telling numbers. 3 for 9 as far as takedowns are concerned. Shot once in the first, shot 3 times in the second, shot 3 times in the fourth, landed his first in the fourth, and then twice in the fifth. For a total of 3 out of 9. If you go back to his last fight, Belal Muhammad's last fight, the Leon Edwards fight, he was 9 for 13. The 13 is a high for him. He was 9 for 13. He completely dominated. He said, "We're gonna beat this guy up. We're gonna smother him." It was the perfect game plan. Okay, let's go to the Gilbert Burns fight. Prior to that, you know what the takedowns were in that fight? 0 for 0. Now you could say, all right, he's going up against a jiu-jitsu guy. Maybe he doesn't want to engage. He doesn't want to, put him on his back. All right, I get it. You know what his takedown stats were against Sean Brady? 0 for 0. All right, then you can say, Sean Brady's a great wrestler. Why are you going to engage with him? All right, fine, I get it. Prior to that, Vicente Luque. You know what the stats were for that? 5 for 10. Just one more takedown attempt than Saturday. 25-minute fight. Just one more. You know what his stats were against Stephen Thompson? You know how many takedown attempts? 9. Now I know, 10 minutes longer, fine. You can add a couple. But this idea that he didn't shoot or that he averages, 20 takedown attempts, and I could keep going and going, but just look at the stats yourself. It's on UFCstats.com. He had to go to plan B because of how good Jack was on his feet, because of how long he was, because of how strong he was, because of the distance that he was keeping. He couldn't get inside. You think he wanted to stand and trade with him? No. Forget about all the Canelo hand stuff. He knows exactly. You think he's going to make it to this point, knowing in the back of his mind that they didn't want to give him the title shot against Leon, knowing in the back of his mind that if he did slip up and fall, he ain't getting another crack, an immediate crack. He didn't successfully defend the title once. You think they're going to give him another crack anytime soon? Absolutely not. You think he's going to say, you know what, now's the time that I'm going to show that I could stand and trade with the best of him, one of the best strikers at 170. No, he ended up meeting a guy who has really good takedown defense. We learned this on Saturday, and who's just really big and strong and long and was able to keep that distance. And perhaps most impressive, he wasn't just throwing ones and twos was Jack Della. He was throwing rights and lefts and right hooks and left hooks and uppercuts. He was coming at him with 3, 4, 5, and 6. Watch the fight again. Why didn't he shoot for more takedowns? Why didn't he tried. He was unsuccessful. And so here's the thing about Belal Muhammad right now. I think some of you are thinking that I'm going to come here and be happy that he lost and all this stuff. Complete hogwash. One thing that I've been very proud of, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe you think otherwise, but I feel this in my heart. Since I've been doing this, I think I've done a pretty good job of separating how I personally feel about people and covering them fairly. I have to do this on a daily and weekly basis as it pertains to UFC President Dana White. Separate personal history and just cover them as a sports person, as a sports entity. And so, yeah, of course, I don't like and appreciate some of the lies that Belal has told about me, saying that I don't invite him on the show, saying that I don't want him on the show, when I've tried to prove otherwise, when I've brought receipts. I don't like some of the things he puts out there, lies, propaganda, things like that. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm able to go and separate the two and say, this guy on a Monday needs to hold his head high and be extremely proud of how he fought. The punches that he took, the damage that he took and kept on coming and didn't give up. And it was up in the air in the fifth, according to one judge, two judges up in the air going into the fifth. One had it 49-46. I scored it 4-1. But according to two judges, it was 2-2 going into the fifth. He didn't quit. He kept on coming. And I see people in the aftermath saying, one of the worst champions of all time. Are you out of your mind? Look at the names I just mentioned. Leon Edwards, Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady. How good has that win looked over the last, few months? It has aged beautifully. Vicente Luque, Wonderboy Thompson, Damian Maia, Diego Lima, Lyman Good. These are incredibly tough fighters. I don't know why people feel this way about him as a fighter. Like, look, is he the most flashy fighter? No, but it is workmanlike stuff that from this side of the table, you can only appreciate and respect. And I said it. When they went to Colby instead of him, he was getting screwed. When they tapped Khamzat, Islam, they tried to do a whole bunch of fights for UFC 300 to knock him title shot. I said he was getting screwed. And then he got the job done. And in fact, Leon's performance against Sean only made that performance look even better. Wipe away the middle of the night stuff. I was the first to say it on the Monday. He just met a really good, and maybe people feel this way because Jack doesn't talk a big game because he didn't have a ton of hype surrounding him. He had not fought in 15 months. I don't know what it is, but the notion that he's one of the worst champions ever, the notion that he's one of the least talented champions in recent UFC history is absolute nonsense. It's unfair. He deserves a lot of respect. He deserves a lot of credit. He met a guy who had the perfect game plan and was able to thwart his attacks, and he had to switch gears, and he almost pulled it off. It was down to that final round. He wins that final round. He's still the champion on this Monday. Come on. Rewatch the fight. You got to respect him. And by the way, in doing that, in saying that there were no takedowns, you're also disrespecting Jack. You're not appreciating what he did out there. Fought brilliantly. Cage rust, no cage rust for this guy. Said afterwards, yeah, the time off actually helped me because I was able to not beat up my body so much. and really focus on the task at hand. All right, cool. Look how good he looked. Looked incredible out there. Incredible fight. In my opinion, front runner, top 5 best fights of the year, certainly up there so far. Back and forth. And there's obviously a ton of intrigue as to what's next. Because in the seconds after the fight, look, I've never bought this Islam and Belal are best friends stuff. I'm sorry if that offends anyone. I've never bought it. And case in point, literally seconds after they say and new, Islam's tweeting about fighting Jack. Now, is it Islam? Is he up at 7 a.m. watching this? I don't know. But he seemed pretty happy about the result. Maybe someone told him, or maybe the person that tweeted it afterwards said, oh, wait a second, maybe I should show some love for my quote unquote brother. So then he tweets, head up. And then he goes back to tweeting about Jack, saying he's going for that second title. You are not Volk. I will show you different level. Keep my belt clean. Now, the question that I still don't understand on this Monday, because we had joked that Dana White was going to show up at the press conference with a piece of paper and say, all right, as a result of Saturday night, as a result of this result, as a result of this main event result, here's the headliner for 317. Well, he didn't show up to the press conference for whatever reason. And so as of right this second, 1:18 p.m. Eastern time on Monday, May 12th, we still don't know the main event for June 28th. It's never been this late, but we're all waiting anxiously. And so the part that I don't understand is, why can't it be Islam versus Ilia? That fight is in, I think, if my math is correct, something like 46 days. That date is in 46 days. And then, win or lose, Islam walks on. He goes to 170. It's not like Jack's fighting in a month and a half. And it's not like fighting in a month and a half puts you on a different timeline. It's literally in a month and a half. It's pretty darn close. Like if you fight on June 28th, you can easily come back in October, November. So that's the part that I don't want to get. And Islam said late last week, hey, I'm going to move to 170 if the results kind of, swing my way, i.e. his friend losing, but I'm going to keep my title. Again, I refuse to believe that Ilia is fighting for an interim title or a number one contender fight. And especially when, as of right now, they don't have a main event for International Fight Week. According to what I'm hearing, what Magomed Ankalaev tweeted was in fact accurate. They did in fact call Alex Pereira and say, hey, we want you to fight Magomed Ankalaev on International Fight Week. Ankalaev tweeting this yesterday afternoon, I was offered to fight Alex International Fight Week. If the man don't want it, let's move on. I'm ready for everyone. I dare you. It's not that he doesn't want it. Unavailable. Timeline not working. This is the guy you're going to question. And so this is the guy who fought 3 times in the span of 6 months last year, 4 times in the span of, I think, 11 months. The plan was August. But now because they're scrambling for whatever reason, they said, hey, let's see if he's available in June. And so, yeah, I hate to say it. I don't think he was hacked. I hate to say it. I think he was disrespected. I hate to say it. I think that was him that tweeted that. Or at least he told someone to tweet it. And I hate to say it. He should feel that way. He should feel that way. Because what happened was, and this is the tweet that I'm talking about that went out Wednesday while we were on the air. I always answer the UFC's calls. But if they want to play with me, we can do that. I've never spoken poorly of the UFC. But with what I've just heard, I'm disheartened. I've always had thoughts of not fighting anymore. And after what was just relayed to me, this may be the start. What did they relay? Did they say, hey, maybe we're going to go in a different direction? Hey, maybe we're going to give the title fight to, one of your rivals, to the next man up? Maybe someone that you beat a couple times? Did that piss him off? Oh, we're going to move this up 2 months? Yeah, that would piss him off. Bottom line, hopefully we get some sort of clarity to all of this, and I do think we will this week. Lord help us. And then right after that, we'll find out that Aspinall and Jones are fighting at Madison Square Garden. But there's a lot to digest. There's a lot to take in. It was just myself and the man in the hat on Saturday for the post show. Pizzi was in Belfast. The boys had just done the watch party. And so that means all the takes are very fresh. Here they are. Hello, boys. How are you? PT, top of the afternoon, top of the evening, actually. 6:22, right?
Nobody says top of the anything over here. I just want to clear that up immediately. But how are you,
Not
lads?
even top of the morning?
Nobody says that shit. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, governor.
That's
okay. That's right, Frank. Yeah, a lot of fights on Saturday, huh?
A lot of things happen. A lot of things have transpired, and there's a lot to get into. Let's start with hey, why didn't Belal shoot any takedowns? This thing drives me every time. Every corner that I look on the internet, he didn't shoot takedowns. He diverted. I've said my piece. PT, what do you make of this? Because I think this is incredibly disrespectful to Jack. It's not appreciating how good he fought, and it's also disrespectful to Belal. He tried and had to divert because of how good Jack was looking out there.
Yeah, and he was also Jack was also just throwing a lot up through the middle, like between phases of the fight. Like even if things weren't happening, he was just showing them knees, showing them teep kicks, showing them everything that if you come in here and shoot a double leg, you might be eating a KO. He was constantly spamming knees, uppercuts, just throwing feints to make Belal unsure. So I don't understand how people watching fights for so long just think you can run across and without setting something up, just explode into a takedown and it's done. There's a lot more to it than that. I thought Jack did a great job of staying dynamic, of showing him his weapons, not exactly extending himself, not throwing these things 100%, but just constantly showing him, here's my knee. This could meet you in the face if you want to try and get around my legs. Here's an uppercut. He fought brilliantly. Both of the lads fought so well. It was a very, very entertaining fight. But credit to Jack, credit to Belal. He was part of this fight as well. I think he rallied in the fourth. First round was close. I had every other round. I had the first round for Jack for what it's worth, but I thought it was a very close round. Had Belal win the fourth, but thought Jack was absolutely brilliant. Let's not forget that GC is the only one out of our whole staff, I believe, that picked.
Was I the only one? Not only that, I also went 5-0, got every single one of them right. No big deal. I mean, Jack Della.
Yeah, well,
this is an old school Jack Della shit. This is from the UFC debut days. I mean, come on, we've been riding JDM for a while.
All right, so take your bow right now. Your guy did it.
Yeah, he did it, man. He like Pete said, he fought a brilliant fight. The takedown defense was tremendous. I do agree with you that people saying that Belal didn't shoot any takedowns is obviously incorrect. He shot for almost 10. He was able to get some success with them in the fourth and fifth rounds. I guess you could maybe make the argument that he should have gone to it earlier, that he should have been shooting more throughout the entire fight.
Allow me to make that argument.
Okay.
Because I disagree with you. I think he should have been shooting takedowns earlier.
Yeah, I know, but he shot for 4 in the first 2 rounds. There was a big Aussie lad in front of him that was not allowing him to get close.
Yeah, not all takedowns are created equal, though. Like, the takedowns that he was going after in the later rounds were more deliberate and more intentional. That's not to say that if he shoots for takedowns, that he will have any more success. Because to your point, I think Jack Della deserves a heap of credit for how his takedown defense looked in this fight versus his previous performances, right? Like the skill, the new attributes that he was able to display are very clear. And it was not going to be Belal Muhammad just rushing into takedowns and taking him down. But if you ask me, should Belal Muhammad be primarily standing on in front of Jack Della for 3 rounds in the opening 3 rounds? The answer is no. The answer is no. It should have been more takedowns. But as I said, I don't know that equals success ultimately. I don't know that Jack Della isn't able to stop it and probably still win that fight. But I think the game plan was not great.
What's most incredible to me is how much Jack Della improved on the takedown defense. Yeah. I mean, he got taken down 7 times or something by Gilbert Burns. He
7 for 11.
Yeah, he got taken down, I think 3 times by Basil Hafez, who was coming in on short notice and was debuting in the UFC. So going into the fight, it felt like the game plan should be clear for Belal, and the fact that JDM was able to thwart that was wildly impressive.
I love that moment. That moment, I think it was going into the 5th round. It was shades of Leon Edwards against Kamaru Usman, his head coach.
The Australian version.
Oh my God! Actually, I believe he's British. Benny Vickers saying to Jack, what was the quote? The quote was something like,
"Keep banging that cunt" or whatever.
That cunt. You're 5 minutes away from realizing your dreams. Stay safe. keep pinging that cunt. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, there's just so much there. It sounded like a dad telling his kid, like, go have fun tonight, but freaking, don't do anything I wouldn't do, but just keep going strong. And the guy did it. And there's something about him, like, he's just so relaxed. The walkout, I saw another video that highlighted this, like, he's walking so far ahead of his team, and he's almost like walking to the beat of AC/DC, TNT. But there's nothing like flashy about him.
He's chilling.
He doesn't want to be a celebrity.
He's walking out to the park, man. Like, he's just like, whatever.
Even his face, like, he looks workmanlike, right?
Like, he's just like cranking the neck. Like, he's not too hype. It was incredible. It really was. And I think on top of that, another reason I've fallen in love with him is when he ends up on his back, like he did in the 5th round and like he did in the 3rd round against Gilbert Burns. He has that like Derek Lewis-esque about him where he's like, all right, I'm just going to get up from this. Yes. I'm completely flat on my back. I'm just going to push you off, get up, and change the course of the fight.
And you talk about the calmness and the coolness under pressure and the composure. That's now 2 fights in a row where it could have been lights too bright, opportunity to just pack it in, especially in that Burns fight. It seemed like it was one-way traffic. Now, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, the scorecards were actually 1-1, but I think a lot of people thought Burns was kind of controlling that fight, and then he comes out and wins that 3rd round decisively. He has shown that he is in the fight and capable of winning fights regardless of what the circumstances in the early rounds, and to be able to be dangerous late. He's got championship medal, and he is now UFC champion.
The swag was coming out a little bit too, like when Belal threw the spinning stuff, and then he sort of mimicked it back at him. Started having fun. Belal feinted a takedown, and then he did like the way overreaction, like feinting the takedown back. Like not only was he comfortable, he was confident in there.
I wonder if deep down, look, I think the criticism that Belal has received is unfair, but I do wonder if he can be critiqued for this. I wonder if he kind of looked past Jack. He was supremely confident going into the fight and everything that he was saying, and he was kind of feeling himself as well. But I wonder if he felt like, look, this guy hasn't fought in a year and a half. I'm the man. I'm going to do what I did to Leon. I completely, stifled, stuffed every single attempt that Leon was trying to throw my way. It was all me, one-way traffic. I'll do the same to this striker. And was sort of surprised by how good Jack was, how much better he was, a lot younger, of course. I wonder if deep down all of that got to him, because, like I said, I think the revisionist history is unfair. I think he's one of the best welterweights in the world. I think the win over Brady is only going to continue to age better. Maybe they meet down the line as well. And I also feel like he isn't going to get a crack at this anytime soon, especially if his very close friend Islam becomes champion.
Right.
Because, that's it for him, right?
Yeah.
It's dead end.
We talk about the block for Islam moving up being Belal. If Islam gets champed, then he's the block for Belal getting the shot again.
Yeah. And so what do you guys think happens now? What do you guys think happens? Because we all thought we were going to get the answer.
Yeah, in regards to who? In regards to what? International Fight Week, 170, 155, all the implications from that one.
All right, well, as a result of Saturday's main event, what's the main event for International Fight Week?
Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira.
Does anyone else think it's weird why don't they just do Ilia versus Islam and then he gets to move up after?
That's what I think.
If what we're being told is accurate, if Belal would have won 48 hours ago, Islam was fighting on June 28th.
Yes.
So he was ready. He was good for that day. But now he can't? I don't understand this.
He's also trying to keep titles and stuff like this. It's all very confusing.
If they were going to do that, they would have already announced it, though. So I think the plan was. I think he wants to go up to 170 right now, not risk taking another fight at 155 so he can get the double champ status.
Oh, I understand that. But
I'm saying I think that's why he doesn't want to take the 155 fight right now. He just wants to go for double champ.
I think you're asking, wouldn't the UFC still want that fight? Which I ultimately agree with. I think the UFC would.
If you told us you were good to go on June 28th, then just do that fight, and then win or lose, you move on to the 170 guy.
All this tells me is that Islam Makhachev has clout that Ilia Topuria does not. That's all this tells me. Islam Makhachev can call his shot, can say, I want the 170-pound belt, can say on Twitter publicly, I'm not giving up my belt, and he can choose his own destiny. Whereas Ilia Topuria, hey, we need a lightweight title fight. We need a featherweight title fight for Miami. Your belt's got to go. And he doesn't have that clout yet, and Islam does.
Do you believe that if, in fact, they do Ilia versus Charles, that Islam will hold on to the title.
Yes.
And it, will-
I think they'll do vacant.
yeah, they'll do.
I think they'll do interim.
Or
what
yeah,
what a
I think they'll do
letdown.
interim. I think they'll do interim. I'm
No.
sorry.
Ilya
They'll do interim.
will have
I don't think they should, but I think they will.
Ilya
Yeah,
will
well,
have
that's the same boat.
vacated an undisputed title to
Yeah.
fight for an interim belt.
Yeah, to fight
If
for
it-
an interim belt and an automatic shot against
He will
the
have gone
potential
punked.
double champion.
If it means though he is now tied to Islam Makhachev and that is his next fight after that, it's fine. It's worth it.
I don't believe that he's gonna go to 170 and come back down to 155.
But then vacate. Then
That's
you
the
do
thing.
vacate. Then you take
I know,
the-
but like I agree with what GC is saying, and that he won't want to do that because he wants to have double champ status. And I think
But he'll get it.
he'll get it, but I mean, I think he'll tease the idea like I might come back down here and then we're holding up a division. We've seen this before. Like I think we're headed straight for it.
I think this is how I would handle it if I was the UFC. I think Islam Makhachev has earned the respect and deserves to be able to have this double champ status. You win the 70-pound belt, you decide. After that, you decide. You're the 55 and 70-pound champion. You choose the weight class. You will be the champion of that weight class. The next one gets vacated.
Why didn't Ilya get
It would-
that same respect?
He's not there yet. Islam Makhachev is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world and has been racking up title defenses for the UFC. Ilya just got here. That's why. In my
And he
mind.
also said he couldn't make the weight anymore. I don't think we've heard that from Islam yet, right? He hasn't said I
Sure.
cannot make 155.
You're half right, Rick. I agree with what both of you are saying. The other thing is they needed a title fight.
They
for
needed the
Miami.
title fight. It's all the schedule. It's
Yeah.
always the schedule.
That was the other thing working against them. Okay,
That's right.
all right. So you guys think that it's going to be Charles versus Ilya,
Yeah.
and you think it's going to be interim title.
Two
I'm-
massive
It's
stars.
possible it's vacant.
I still think it should be Islam versus Ilya for the
Oh,
undisputed
same
title.
here. That's the fight.
That's
like
that-
surely, lads, you
I'm
want
still
that as well,
holding
right?
out hope. Yeah. They're saying what they think is going to happen, but then and then my next thing is, I just have a hard time coming to terms with the fact that Ilya will be fighting for an interim. So then I think it will be for the vacant title, and they'll say, look, you're the guy. You know, everyone knows who you are. Just go up there and fight him. Here's the question, or at least the next question. If you're Sean Brady and Ian Machado Gary, do you have to just kind of say like, all right, Islam's clearly, going to get this shot. He's the guy. Timing's off. We got to fight each other.
If I'm Ian, I want that. If I'm Sean, I probably want it, but I wouldn't be as keen. I'd be less keen than Ian.
Ian Gary has said as much that if
Yeah.
Islam Makhachev moves up to 170, everyone is just going to have to step aside and let him go for the double champ status. As far as him fighting Sean Brady, Ian Gary has talked about every single 170er in the rankings except for Sean Brady. He made the video and laid out the whole plans for all the people in the top half of the division. And he didn't even mention the number 1 contender, Sean Brady, who has been relentlessly calling him out. Like on the weigh-in show, he called him out 3 times. He posted a video on his social media calling him out after his performance against Carlos Praches. So I want to see that fight. I think that would be a rightful number 1 contender fight, despite Sean already having the number 1 next to his name right now. But the way that Ian Gary's talking, it feels like he's avoiding
That's the fight
the
to
matchup
make.
with Sean
If
Brady.
if Islam is fighting JDM,
Where's Shavkat fit into this then?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the question.
okay.
Do we have a timeline on Shavkat? Because
That's what I need to know.
170 is
Because
crowded.
if I'm Sean Brady, there's a real chance that we don't see Shavkat for a bit. Who knows? It seems very murky at this moment. And if somebody falls out of a potential fight between Islam and JDM, I want to be the guy that they call. And so that's why if I was Brady, I'd feel pretty good about my position and not rush into a fight.
I have no issues with Islam getting a title fight. He has earned that.
Yeah.
If he wants to move up, but it does, to your point, GC, come at the worst possible time for this weight class because there is such a logjam of top guys up there. Like you can make a very strong case for Shavkat, obviously, for Ian, obviously, for Brady, obviously, and there's a very good chance none of them are fighting for the belt, and also there's a very good chance none of them are fighting for the belt this year, right? If JDM is coming back, most guys come back 4, 5. Look at his face after that fight. 6 months later, that's it. That's 2025 wrapped up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so,
yeah, like October, Abu Dhabi.
and then that's it. He's not coming back 2 months later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the question then is, will it be? I think we see Shavkat either back into the year. I don't think we see him anytime soon. And so to me, the question is Ian versus Sean Brady. Do they make it happen? What a freaking fight! And then you determine.
definitely.
And by the way, there's so many permutations here. It's going to be so weird because even if it's Ian versus Sean, and then later in the year, JDM fights Islam. By the time all that plays out, Shavkat will probably be ready to come back. Does he have to now work his way back up because some time has passed and a new crop of people have turned up? Like that's a tough pill to swallow for him.
Unfortunately,
but
yes.
It might be, yeah.
Unfortunately, yes. It is all time. As we continue to have these conversations, and everything revolves around the timing, including Ilia's not holding a belt right now. It's all about the timing with the UFC. And so this will all shake out in one way or another. To the point, though, that we're sitting here and we still don't have an announcement for International Fight Week. It's past the point of ridiculousness, and it is all because of their schedule.
Dana didn't even go to the presser afterward.
Yeah.
We didn't even get the
You and
press
Chuck reacted
conference.
to that in real time was absolutely fantastic, by the way.
We're going
like,
even
he's
longer.
going to be here. No, it is Dave Shaw.
Well, at 170, you guys also, we mentioned all the top guys. If Buckley beats Usman,
Here comes Buckley.
he's going to be calling for a title shot or one of these number one contenderships. And then what do you do with Leon? What do you do with Belal?
Well, maybe Buckley winning is the best thing because now you have 4 guys and they could
pair them off.
You know
Tournament.
You do a little tournament, Shavkat, Buckley,
I love that.
Gary.
Hey,
shit.
That'd be
It
sweet.
could occupy us for a year until it actually gets sorted out what the fuck is happening to the welterweight division.
By the way,
But in that case, what would you do if Shavkat won and Brady won? Both of them would just have such strong claims for the title at that
Can I
point.
give a hot take?
Yeah, rip it, man.
Oh, I love it.
We've gotten too comfortable putting people into title shots. Let them earn it. Let them earn it the same way Belal did. Let them earn it the same way Leon Edwards did. We're talking about it as if these are foregone conclusions. Like, Brady deserves a title shot. Okay, prove it against Ian Gary. Okay, Shavkat, you had that unfortunate thing. Show me again. I think we've gotten too this idea that everybody deserves title shots is kind of just like we've entered the participation trophy area of title shots.
No. This is what I'm saying, though. I'm saying
Make them fight.
Brady beats Gary and Shavkat beats Buckley in this world where they match up, it's like, who do you give the title to then? They're both incredibly deserving. Then make Shavkat fight Brady? You talk about earning a title shot. Shavkat will have already earned a title shot against Belal, had to step in for Brady because of the circumstances.
Do you want it or
not? Then fight Buckley, then fight Brady just to get the title shot.
You want to be a fucking fighter?
This is getting ridiculous.
You want to be a fucking...
This is getting ridiculous.
We've reached the point where any one good win gets everybody a title shot now. I'm over it. Fight. Let Ian...
Stop chatting
Let
shit.
Ian and Sean fight. Let Shavkat and Buckley fight. Then, if there's not an immediate, easy opportunity to get a title shot there, make them fight too. Make the winners of them fight too.
You know what's amazing about all this? And I understand where you're coming from. Jack had to go through very little struggle. Like, he was just kind of there. Like, speaking of the timing, obviously the injuries and he beat guys, but no one in their right mind would have suggested after the win over Burns, which got dicey, that his next fight would be for a belt.
100%.
He was literally booked against Leon. The circumstances that he fell into to get that title shot and then capitalizing on it.
This is the game now.
You know what it is?
This is the game.
He's just a chill guy. He's
just a chill guy,
just a chill guy in the corner of the room at the party, and it's almost like he's the chill guy in the corner of the party of the room, and like he's not talking to anyone. He's not even caring about like making friends, making a scene. Took 2 seconds to pick out his outfit, but some way, somehow, the best looking girl in the room gravitates towards him, right?
Everybody was in the middle, like pick me, and
Yeah.
then you look over and Jack's over there. And
he's wearing some old crusty hat, and he's just like, yeah, so you want to go get a burger later? And everyone's like, how did he do this? And that's what he did on Saturday.
He did it.
He actually did that.
And then he realized his dream. He got there, and then he was the best dancer at the
what a guy.
event. Incredible.
He really looks like a fighter, huh? Like his face,
yes.
his
The
nose is
everything about him. The side profile when he was fighting, it's jarring every time, just like how flat it is across his face because of the break.
And shout out to Craig Jones as well in his corner. He helped
on a
both
roll,
do the
Craig.
thing.
Figured out the Dagestani wrestling
Is he the best
methods.
striking coach in MMA right now?
Craig Jones,
Yeah.
What a guy. He's some cannabis, that Craig Jones. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.